Hello, it's June 2022, and before I get into this video, I just want to share something that was kind of unusual. I never experienced this before, and I'm not dwelling on it. I just thought I'd mention it for whatever it's worth. And not this last video that I did, but the video before. When I went to post it, I had something unusual come up. So where the video would pop up showing, the video as like a thumbnail type of thing, it kept coming up to.gov. So that's to.gov, to gov. And I kept trying to redo it, and I should have taken a screenshot, but by the time I thought of it, it corrected itself or whatever. So just wondering if anyone else has experienced anything like that. Anyway, I want to talk about something. Maybe there's two overlaying parts to this topic, and really has to do with the 1990s. And for those of you old enough to remember the 1990s, to have experienced it as, say, young adult, teenagers, or just young adults in the 20s, they'll understand. And there was, I mentioned, for example, that I don't listen to music anymore. I don't watch movies or watch TV or anything like that. But there was a song that had come up in the background of a video, and just kind of, how should I say, it triggered something. Like, just, oh, I remember that. That was from like the early 1990s. So I thought I'd just kind of, it was only a short little clip of it, so I found the song and just kind of played it a little bit. And it's not like I've never listened to movies or watched TV or whatever. I mean, obviously I did at some point. And I talked about actually in a few videos how liberating it is to disconnect from all that. And I did actually about a year and a half ago a 30-day challenge to everyone to see if they can go without these things for 30 days. And then I started just remembering the 1990s. And the 1990s, that decade, was really the last time that society, or maybe even societies around the world, had, I'm going to use this as a descriptive, freedom. We started to see in the early 1990s a lot of, for example, liberalism, liberal ideologies starting to be imposed on the people. But it was still, there was a lot more freedom. And unless you live a life where you can, with age, for example, you can see how things changed, either for the better or for the worst. And when you contrast, older people like myself, the 1990s, say, to the 2000s to 2020s, you really see how everything was taken away from people. And people who have the advantage, for example, of either having family from a different country, say, for example, from Central and Eastern Europe, or being born there, or having experienced it and actually been there and talked to people, what life was like, and having that as a foundation of comparison, for example, to whatever other country in the West, for example, that you might live in, and you're able to really contrast, like, oh, okay, and then you can see how things progress to whatever. The 1990s, and listening to just a couple of songs, just like, oh, I remember that. I remember going to the clubs and, and that time of my life. And then I started really thinking about the music and how the music, there was really big on like the dance clubs. It was called techno and dance music and house music, and I think there's a couple of other variations of music. But I could really see now, looking back to when I was that age, how the music in itself was really controlling programming. And it hasn't changed since. And it always has been like that. When you look back, for example, to the 1950s when the rock and roll came out, and the elders of that time were not saying anything good about it. And each decade, elders would always complain about the music, and the younger generation, being oblivious to history and not having any life experience, just thought that was old people babble. But when I look back to, for example, the early 1990s, I can really see how controlling, how programming that music was. Nice beat, repetitive, whatever. And it's very liberating to break away from all that. And then interesting to look back at that time. The 1990s was the last time that people had, as a descriptive, freedom. That's all gone, long gone. And I feel bad for the younger generations coming up, since, especially the ones that are being born now, because they don't know any better. And you really need not even a generation of manipulation to sway things, either for good or for bad. Just interesting, and I guess really trying to offer something to inspire some thought for those of you who can reflect back to the 1990s and remember the freedom. And there was no internet. It's probably a good thing, because some of my, we'll call activities, party type things, I wouldn't even consider doing in today's world because of the internet and the embarrassment that would probably follow with that. So just something to think about. You can remember the 1990s if you're old enough to. The freedom, and how we started to see the decay of that. Anyway, just something to think about. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.